Redmi Note 11T Pro review, the K50 LCD version. Some of you may know that June 18 is the Chinese version of Black Friday. In order to sell as many phones as possible on this day, many brands choose to launch new budget phones to increase sales. For example, OnePlus launched the Ace Racing Edition, Honor launched the Honor 70 series. And we also have a new model in our hands, the Redmi Note 11T Pro. The Note 11T Pro we've bought is the blue color model. You can also see a bit of red in the reflection of the light. Although the whole back panel and frame are made of plastic, the frosted material of the back panel makes it really feel quite like glass. The camera module is different from any previous Redmi phone, but it looks a bit like another brand's phone. In addition to NFC, X-axis linear motor, and an infrared emitter, which everyone has, there is also a very interesting addition this time: the headphone jack, which many flagship phones do not have anymore. You can't expect a mid-range phone to have a great design. But as long as it can be fully functional and give us features like a headphone jack, I think it's a good phone. Nowadays, there are more and more phones with OLED displays, and it's getting harder to find a good LCD display phone. It just so happens that the Note 11T Pro uses a very good LCD screen for its price point. The screen on the 11T Pro Plus is the only LCD screen on DisplayMate that received an A+. The Pro version uses the same screen, so the display is just as good. Ghosting control is also excellent, and it is barely noticeable to the human eye. The color accuracy is also factory calibrated, and Redmi has even customized this LCD with a low blue light backlight. It supports Smart Adaptive Sync, which automatically drops the refresh rate to 50 Hz when you're not touching the screen. There are still many people who prefer LCD screen to OLEDs, right? That's because LCD is not only clearer at the same size and resolution, but also has full scene DC dimming, which OLEDs can't do. Lifespan is also longer than an OLED. It is a pity that this excellent LCD is a bit poor in touch sampling rate. The highest 270 Hz sampling rate can only be achieved when the refresh rate is less than 90 Hz. LCD screen's common problem is also present on the 11T Pro, which is a shadow around the hole punch area. Anyway, if you can't accept the flicker or other drawbacks of OLED, then the Note 11 Pro is one of the few good options you have. The most powerful processor in the budget phone this year should be the Dimensity 8100. The benchmark score is a little worse than the Redmi K50. But it is also the normal level for 8100. Gaming performance is significantly different from the K50. When the K50 first came out, it performed very well. Although the game frame rate of the K50 dropped a little after the system update, it could be due to the hot weather in summer, and Redmi had to consider the temperature factor. However, the gaming performance of the latest system version on the K50 is also very good. But the Note 11T Pro doesn't seem to perform quite like a normal Dimensity 8100 phone. It looks like it's trying to lock the game frame rate at the 50 or 45 FPS line, but the lag is keeping it from staying on a straight line. I know the lag has increased for the K50 in the latter half of the game, but at least the K50 performs very well in the first half. We're not sure if this was intentional or unintentional on Redmi's part. After all, there's a $45 price difference between the K50 and the Note 11T Pro. But we still recommend spending an extra $45 for the K50 instead of the Note 11T Pro. Those who like to play Genshin Impact. Of course, if you're just playing PUBG, then it's definitely a breeze for the Note 11T Pro. However, it should be noted that the extreme frame rate is currently only enabled in smooth graphics. As you should know, Redmi's photography has never been its strong point. But the Note 11T Pro still can take good pictures. The main camera is GW1, the same one as the Mi-11 Lite. But algorithm advancements have made the 11T Pro a better performer than the 11 Lite. The images are clear, with excellent dynamic range and vivid colors. The highlight control is particularly good for night scenes, which is an excellent level in the same class of phones. However, there is no OIS, so there is a possibility that the photos will be blurred in low light. The ultra-wide camera, like other budget phones, takes very blurry pictures at night. The good thing is that the improvement in night mode is very obvious, as the noise control and clarity have become much better. The video recording doesn't give us much surprise. The main camera records up to 4K 30 fps and the ultra-wide camera records up to 1080p 30 fps. The dynamic range is average, and the main camera 4K 30 fps does not support ICE. So the Note 11T Pro is not a very good video recording phone. Why we didn't buy the Note 11T Pro Plus over the Pro version was because we think you should be more interested in the Pro. The Pro Plus has 120W charging power but only a 4400 mAh battery. The Pro has only 67W charging power but comes with a larger 5080 mAh battery. If you've watched our K50 review, you know how awesome the Dimensity 8100 with 5500 mAh really is. Although we didn't perform the battery drain test of Note 11T Pro, but referring to the battery drain test result of K50, it should easily last a whole day without charging, no matter how you use it. The Redmi Note 11T Pro starts at $1699 RMB, which is roughly $255. If you compare its specs with those of the K50, you can think of the 11T Pro as the LCD version of the K50. So Redmi is clearly telling us, if you want a top-of-the-line 2K OLED screen, or a better gaming experience, choose the K50. If you want a more eye-friendly screen, want to save some money, or if you simply want a phone with a headphone jack, go with the Note 11T Pro.